told your friend you're not okay.
No one was truly prepared for the wave of attention created by Kim Taehyung's single step off the plane after his trip from New York City. That day, the airport felt like a stage that had just lost its light, as the figure at the center of global attention stepped onto Korean soil with an aura that was hard to describe. Fans may have thought his return was simply the end of a brief trip, but in reality, it was the beginning of something much bigger. A quiet gesture that would slowly snowball into a major storm in the global music industry. As soon as news of his arrival spread, the fan community felt electrified. But what truly shook the world wasn't his appearance, not his outfit, not the cameras chasing him, but the atmosphere that followed his every step. There was something different, a calm that seemed too deliberate, a stillness that felt like the prelude to a major event that hadn't yet found its time to explode. Reporters noticed the occasional subtle smile, but the look in his eyes carried something deeper than a simple return from an overseas event. Rumors began circulating long before his plane landed. It was said that during his time in New York, Taehyung not only visited a major studio but also met with a legendary producer known for his selective collaborators. There were also rumors that he had visited an art practice space renowned as the birthplace of visual concepts for world-class artists. Small pieces of evidence circulating on social media, shadows of recording equipment, glimpses of melodies from deleted videos, and still photos that looked too neat to be coincidence, all pointed to one thing, a project far beyond the scale of his previous work. As Taehyung walked through the crowd of fans waiting at the international terminal, some noticed the small earphones still in his ears, as if he didn't want to be separated from the musical world he was building. That small detail alone was enough to spark thousands of theories. Fans considered the possibility that he was listening to a secret demo or even the final mastering of his latest unannounced project. Many also speculated that the trip to New York was the final phase before the project's release. Amidst this wave of enthusiasm, music analysts began to chime in with their predictions. Many believe Taehyung is at a particularly mature creative point, more experimental, more daring to bear his deepest feelings, yet consistently maintaining the aesthetic sense that has always been his signature. He's not the type of artist to follow trends. Instead, he creates new directions and lets others follow. This has led observers to believe that his latest vocal project could very well change the landscape of the music industry in 2026. Over time, more and more mysterious clues have emerged. Some of his staff have been spotted carrying thick black folders with unusual labels. Documentary cameras have appeared in locations not usually associated with his public schedule, and international media accounts have suddenly been discussing Taehyung in terms that go beyond just a comeback. This isn't just a song release, it's the lead-up to a whole new artistic era. Fans have become increasingly immersed in the euphoria of investigation. They scrutinize every post, noting every shift in tone, constructing theories from his facial expressions, and searching for patterns in his small movements. Even the silence on his social media accounts feels like a deliberate sign, not because he wants to disappear, but because he's preparing for something that requires his full focus. And Taehyung is the type of artist who, when he enters creation mode, will shut out the outside world for as long as necessary to produce a mature work. When someone like Taehyung moves quietly, it usually means a creative explosion is brewing. He's known for blending visual art, music, atmosphere, and storytelling concepts into a whole that's not just heard but also felt. Therefore, many believe his latest project isn't just an album or a song, but perhaps a full-fledged experience, a narrative concept built through sound, visuals, emotions, and an imaginative world. His return from New York City isn't just the end of a journey, but rather a semicolon marking the next chapter in his artistic journey. A chapter that millions of people around the world have been waiting for. What happened after his return from New York City opened a new chapter far more intriguing than anyone could have imagined. Within days of his arrival, the atmosphere in the Korean music industry began to shift slowly, as if all the creative mechanisms behind the scenes were moving to the same rhythm, a rhythm that secretly originated from one person, Taehyung. Major recording studios appeared busier than usual, and several renowned composers began posting sketchy photos showing untitled scores, analog equipment, and even raw recordings with secret watermarks. It all seemed unrelated, but for those who followed Taehyung, these snippets signaled that the machinations of his project were beginning to churn. On the other hand, the public began to notice a pattern of activity that was different from Taehyung's usual. He was less visible in the media, less likely to make lengthy statements, and less likely to attend his usual public events. But this silence wasn't an empty silence. It was a deliberate silence, one deliberately designed to allow his greatest voice to be heard uninterrupted. It was precisely this silence that fueled speculation. Reports suggested Taehyung had been spotted entering a legendary studio in Seoul known for its dedicated cinema-quality production and mixing space. Even the security staff there were strictly instructed to maintain complete privacy for several days. Meanwhile, rumors of international collaborations began circulating at a nearly unstoppable pace. A renowned jazz singer suddenly started following Taehyung's creative team. An American indie producer posted a video of vintage-inspired instruments and then deleted it within minutes. A European music video director suddenly photographed an empty room with Phase 02 written on the wall. These all seemed like discarded pieces of a puzzle, but when put together, the larger picture began to emerge. Taehyung was building a new world, and it seemed to involve many creative hands from across the continent. As night fell, the fandom world seemed to enter another dimension. Online discussion groups transformed into investigative spaces, full of theories. Fans analyzed the fonts of cryptic posters, examined the sound frequencies of mysterious audio, and even dissected possible genres based on the color schemes Taehyung used in his latest uploads. This wasn't just anticipation. This was a powerful form of collective love, an energy even those outside the fandom could feel. Interestingly, the more fans dug, the more it became clear that something was being carefully hidden. But what was most surprising was a report from a flight crew member who said that Taehyung was seen busily scribbling in a black notebook throughout the flight home from New York. No one knew what the notebook contained, but he was writing almost the entire time with a shifting expression, sometimes serious, sometimes smiling slightly, sometimes silent for a long time. The source even said he listened to the same short melody over and over again, as if perfecting a crucial part of a composition. If this is true, it's likely that the outline of the project was born right on the plane, amidst the clouds and the fading city lights in the distance. As the day progressed, the atmosphere in Seoul also began to feel different. Several art photographers reported seeing black vehicles entering and exiting the production building usually used for filming long narrative music videos. Even some of the small streets near the studio were marked with special signs to control public activity. This, of course, further strengthened the suspicion that a visual project was being planned in conjunction with the music. Taehyung rarely does anything half-heartedly. If he's making music, he'll create a world around it. If he's preparing a concept, he'll construct an entire universe. Amidst all these secrets, what fans can't stop wondering about is one thing. When will he reveal it all? All signs point to that moment, not far off. Taehyung appears to be in the mature phase of an artist, the phase when his vision and technical ability are in perfect balance. And when an artist reaches that point, the world usually witnesses the birth of their greatest work. Whatever Taehyung is working on, whether it's a full-length album, a musical film project, a global collaboration, or an unprecedented multidisciplinary concept, it all points to one increasingly undeniable fact. He's preparing for something not just big, but monumental.